So hello everybody. This time we're not at a request stop, but we're on a boat in Hamburg because Tom and I took the time to get back to Hamburg, where I'm from, and did 2 request stop episodes in a row. But we thought it would be time for another Q&A because we might not be able to keep up this pace that we're currently having because, as I said, we have jobs and other things to do. Well, one person has other things to do, but 2 persons have job. And so we thought we'd take a bit of time to talk to you about our first Northern request stop experience, maybe a bit about this Hamburg trip. So I'd say, Tom, what was your first experience in the Northern, like the real Northern train line when we left Hamburg and went even further?
So my day started very, very early. Enya, it's 4:30 a.m. Why am I awake? We're never doing an episode this early again. Actually, my day started the previous night when I received a text from Enya like, yeah, we're getting the train at 6 a.m. And I was like, ugh. And it wasn't even from Hamburg, Hauptbahnhof. It was like Altona. And I was like, oh. So I had an alarm set at 4:30. That was my first experience. The alarm going off and me thinking, what a joy that I have someone to go and do a project with that I would gladly wake up early for. That's not something that happens every day. I went to see you at the station. I was immediately insulted for buying you a small cappuccino, even though I've seen you only drink a small cappuccino many times.
Because I get too excited when I drink a big one.
Yeah. To be honest, my first experience of going to the north, so I had only ever been as far as Hamburg before. I'd never been to the North Sea or anything up by the Danish border or whatever. My first experience of it was that I was so glad that I had taken the time to bother to wake up early, because it was just me and you on that train. Literally nobody was there, were they? And we had a 2-hour small regional train up to the Danish border, essentially. And it was just this glorious sunrise that we got to see. All of this lovely nature and countryside and rivers and forests. And we were looking out, we were like, oh, there's deer. Like, there wasn't enough like farm activity and cars yet to scare the deer off. It was still a bit like nighttime vibes with the sun coming up. So still a bit of like wildlife around. I absolutely loved it. The gap between my alarm going off and me not wanting to do anything ever again, and to having just drunk a massive coffee and watching the sunrise with you on an empty train, it was the biggest like come up in world history. It was so good and I absolutely loved it, and I'm so glad that we've come to the north. We can do as many episodes as we want in the east, and I think they all do end up different, and I'm really happy with them, but this has been very, very different, and it's been educational for me. It's a pleasure for me to get to come to where you're from.
I also feel like we had such a beautiful train ride that we got a bit sad that we have to go back to East Germany again, because we're trying to make the best out of the places that we visited, but of course places that we visited now were so beautiful. I mean, the weather was better. This was the first time. Oh, we have a few waves. Whoa.
Bumping up and down. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow. It's getting bumpy on the boat.
I did enjoy it a lot because I've been to St. Peter-Ording, which is also in the north, but I've never been at the place that we visited, and I also never thought about going there by train because it is quite far away. So it takes like 2.5 hours from Hamburg. We had this wonderful journey, and then it was actually quite stressful because we had 2 transfers or 3. I'm not really sure, and everything was a bit stressful. When I looked at the plan again in the morning, I saw that we had like 8 and 10 minutes to get our transfers, and I was like, oh, who planned this? This is actually quite stressful. When we got on the train, there was an announcement that you have to talk to the people in the train to say that you want to stop there. So there is not a stop with like a button or something to press. And in this moment, we had like a walkie-talkie which had a direct connection to the train driver. And so we were like, hey, we would love to stop at Dagebüll Kirche. And she was like, we have a stop at Dagebüll Kirche. Like we were some secret agents getting our secret mission in Dagebüll Kirche.
When I did my big longest Deutschland ticket video from Switzerland to Poland with the regional trains, and when I missed the connection in there, loads of Germans in the comments were like, oh, you should have asked the train guard if he could phone the other train to get it to wait. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any, what? No, I don't get it at all. But then to be in the same situation, I'm actually with the German, not just a German, but German extrovert who can go and fix anything. And then you went and spoke to the train guard, and suddenly it came up on the app, like it came through on my phone to say that the next train was going to wait for us. It was like, yes, extrovert win.
And then we ended up making this delayed train that only drives them like every 2 hours, stop at this place, and no one got off.
We were the only
And
ones
yeah,
getting off
and
of
then
the
we had
request
this
stop.
very important, like, they gotta get off, like,
Yeah.
big mission.
The further you get away from the big cities, like people just change and the vibe completely
Yeah.
changes. Like it was so nice. She just came round, checked our tickets. We were like, yeah, we'd like to get off at the request stop. And yeah.
She was also very chatty. She was
Yeah,
chatting
she was
with
lovely.
everyone that she
Yeah.
met there, which is also not very common in Germany in general.
We went from the request stop to the main town nearby. We walked along a cycle path, and everyone is just like, moin, moin, moin. And I always think this, especially in England, I'm like, the further you get away from the cities, like
Yeah.
everyone would just stop and talk to you and be like, oh, what are you doing? And like even this guy came up to us while we were shooting, which hasn't really happened before.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you mind if I ask what you're shooting for?
Yeah.
But he wasn't like an angry papula or anything.
And then we had the first lighthouse situation, which was also pretty nice.
First episode of Pointless Adventures that featured a lighthouse, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. We found out that it was even a hotel you could rent, because we were trying to take pictures of the lighthouse. It was really nice, but it was like, oh, there's a car parked outside, like why is there this car in every picture? And then it turns out people were staying there, people were staying in the lighthouse. And I was like, when we got there, I was like, why is it so far inland? Like they can't even see the sea. But the sea was actually right there. It's just that we hadn't gone up and over the dike to actually be able to see it. But I was of course very happy with this, and anybody who knows videos that I've made about lighthouses before knows that I had to get some pictures and some videos for my own content from the Dagebüll Leuchtturm.
It was so pretty and the weather was so great, because if you've watched a few videos of ours, then you've seen that we suffered through a lot. Took shelter under this little roof, which doesn't really help a lot because the snow is coming sideways.
I don't know about you, Enya, but I'm getting a little bit cold. I'm going to wave down the train.
We never had a place to stay, and now everything is opening up, you know? It's also spring in request stop land.
It was such a huge contrast to the ones where it's like -2, I'm coughing my guts up, and you're like, film more. Suddenly it was like we were out by the sea, the smell of the salt air was making me think of home, like cafes and restaurants were open. It was just a completely different world, and it's really, you know, I think it's given us a lot of energy to go forward and make the rest of the series this summer.
There were so many like little moments that we can appreciate, from like an old couple sitting on a bench not talking to each other because they probably don't, like they talk to each other like every day. And then there was this guy with the 3 dogs that he was walking around, and then actually we took a break at the restroom. And then I got out of the restroom and tried to open something in my camera bag, and then I cut myself. I didn't have a plaster and it was bleeding a bit. And then there was like a hand-picked NPC for us.
It was
to
like
use.
press A to speak, ask for
And then he was
plaster.
like a classic German with a bike. And then I went over and was like, you look like someone who would have a plaster with him because he's an experienced cyclist. And then he was like, yeah, I actually have, but he didn't think it was funny. Like he was just like, I don't know, fulfilling
his life
his
mission.
task.
Yeah. Where's your finger today, by the way?
It was a small cut. I don't even know where it was. And then we walked up to the lookout. It was a bit higher than I expected it to be.
You add a lot of height to the viewing platform as well.
Yeah.
Everybody has to realise that, We went inside this cafe and they had a lovely map of all of the lighthouses in the area. And that was something that I'd seen before when I was in Finland. I saw this huge wall map of lighthouses and I loved it, and I stood there for ages reading it. It was like all of their lighthouses in like Estonia and Russia, this whole Baltic Sea area. It was so nice, and I hadn't seen one like it, like for lighthouse fans, until yesterday when we went in there, and it was like all of the Nordsee lighthouses, and it just really inspired me to go back and actually take one of these ferries and go to one of these little islands, and maybe we'll do it as a vlog one day, us cycling around between lighthouses on an island and having a picnic. In fact, I kind of wanted to do that tomorrow instead of what I'm actually doing tomorrow.
Yeah,
but
same.
Anyway.
This is like the only sad thing about this whole series, that you're experiencing these great adventures and like really using the 24 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Which is quite draining every time, I think, because it's really intense, you know? You have to think about a lot of things. You have to have like the whole idea of the video back in your head, if everything fits together. Then you have to do second takes.
You have to do second takes if Tom doesn't hit record.
Yeah, but I think it's just to challenge me to be a bit more precise and press record for him when I hand over the camera.
And it does do that, yeah.
Now it always feels like we come back home to a life that we don't want to live anymore.
It's like constant post-vacation blues, which is such a crazy thing to say because it's not a vacation. Like it's actually hard work.
So
like
stressful.
I love doing it, and I have so much fun doing it. And I was thinking this yesterday when we got in, because like I said, I met Enya at 6 yesterday, and then we went 6 a.m. and we went our separate ways at 11 p.m. and we were basically working the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what like a privilege to have work that I do so gladly, that I use literally an entire day to do it. Like not a work day,
Yeah, like
calendar
a
day.
free-
Like not a lot of people really, have something like that in their life.
We both get up at 4:30, and I think there's always this moment where like, oh my god, I can just stay in bed and maybe cancel everything. And then I thought about being like, it's so easy to do that, and everyone can do that, but not everyone can do the other way, or, can choose the other path and be like, we can do that. And that's usually something that for me has more to do with like sports stuff, where you're just like, you have to get better, you have to get up and everything. But this is like, it is some sort of sport, I'd say, because it's really, really intense on so many different levels. The whole creative part, then you have to be fit because we walk around quite a lot and we had a stressful day to get the train. You have to get the mindset right to start this day, and I appreciate it so much that I have someone to do it with, because it's so much harder to get up just for yourself. Because when my alarm rang, I got up like 30% for me and 70% to be like, okay, Tom is
100%.
waiting.
Yeah, I was like, I can't miss Enya.
Yeah.
I can't do it. If it was for me, I might have cancelled. But I was just like,
Yeah,
Enya's going to be at that platform.
I love that we're not that famous yet, but I feel like this is something that the musicians, when they look at the big calendar of their whole year, planned ahead with all the tours and everything, and they're like, ugh, but then you go ahead and do it.
Day by day, you just realize that you actually do enjoy it, even if there's moments where it seems like stressful.
And then actually something that you don't get to see on these videos are the moments in between, because of course you can't keep the energy up for 16 or 15 hours straight.
Exactly.
But I think it's pretty funny because usually we have like highs and lows at different points during the day. Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel you're dealing with my lows way better than I do deal with yours.
I'm just gonna let that stand in the video. People can, make their own minds up. I can neither confirm nor deny whether that's accurate. All I'll say is, from my point of view, when Enya has a low, I feel like I try to, placate her. We'll take it slow, we'll take a break, eat something, you're hangry, have some caffeine, everything's fine, we'll do whatever you want. When I have a low, Enya is like, do you even like me? Do you want to make videos with me? You don't even like me, it's all an act. I'm just like, no, I've just been like happy and making jokes for like 10 hours in a row. I can't do it for 11 hours. I need a little break before I go back to being happy Tom.
Because you're older, I think.
That's fine. You can make it ageism if you want. You can make it ageism. But it's like, Enya has this conspiracy theory that I don't even like her. I just like pretend. But the thing is, by like 3-4 p.m, I'm just like, I'm not as funny as I was after first coffee. I'm not as energetic as I was after first coffee. It's just a natural energy up and down. I'm trying to make my case.
If I give you the idea that I have, I always want you, I always want you to be honest, be like, okay, we can do it. And then sometimes you're like, okay. And then you're just silent, and I feel like, okay, maybe you don't really like the idea, or you don't want to do it. And then I just want to make sure that you don't feel forced, because I force you to a lot of things to do this, and still want to make sure that you're feeling good with it, and that you're not saying yes to things that you only do because
I can't believe this has turned into a therapy session.
Yeah,
I just like to show everybody the scenery that we have for this therapy.
This
logistics and container ships. It's very nice that you think that way, but the thing is, when I'm quiet and I just say yes and go along with it, I still do want to go along with it. I just don't have the energy to be making like 6 jokes every 10 seconds anymore. And I just want to go along with it. I would say no if I didn't want to go along with it. And also, sometimes it's fine for you to force me to do things. That's not like you're never allowed to do that.
But I never thought that I would have a person that I could spend 15 hours with, go to sleep,
same.
and then spend another, probably, I don't know when we'll be getting back home today.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else I would willfully commit to that with.
Yesterday I said to Tom that if he would have like a diagram of how much time I spent with friends that I've known for a while, he would just overtake the ones that have been in my life for like 20 or like, I don't know, 25 years. And
but you see them for coffee 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And
so take your friends out on these little adventures because
Yeah.
everyone can do it. There's literally no reason for you not to do it.
Including me, and yet I never
Yeah.
do things. And like I see myself as the most adventurous, like of all my friends. I feel like I'm in the top 1% of like go out there and do stuff. And yet I still don't feel like I do as much as I could. And like I had this feeling yesterday. Again, I think it's like first coffee, sunrise, everything's happy, like vibes. But when we were on that first train, looking at deer and looking at the sunrise and everything, and I was looking at Google Maps on my phone, like where we were going, I was like, oh, it's towards the islands in Germany, the German part of the North Sea, where I have all of these lighthouses pinned on my Google Maps. And I'm like, yeah, one day I'll go and see them. But that one day just never comes. And this was the good thing about us working together. I feel like we said this in our last video as well. You're the one who's like, okay, no, this is in the calendar and you're coming to do it. And I'm like, yes, dear. I have so many free weekends that I just like spend in Leipzig editing videos and reading and whatever, crying, playing video games. Whereas I could quite easily do what we did, just take a very early morning regional train up to the North Sea and go to these islands. Oh, you can do your one day things, like you can just get up and do them. So why do I never do it? It's like, I think you need that other person to like inspire you, I guess.
Because I would be like, yeah, we can do that for like 70% because I would do it for you, and then on the other side you would do it for me. And then
and we push each other. Yeah, and I think that's a really great recipe for a good series and a good channel.
I wonder if we would get along if you would speak German.
Oh,
Do you wonder about that
niemals
sometimes?
erkennen? How do you say? Erfahren.
Oder
Das werden wir
wissen.
niemals wissen.
Yeah.
Leider. Leider sind wir zu tief in der englischsprachigen Welt. See, I'm bringing you to a world audience though. You're dragging me out of my comfort zone and I'm dragging you out of your comfort zone.
8.6% people of the United Kingdom.
It's coming. It's coming. You know, we've got Canada, we've got the US, we've got Australia.
And there's actually one comment that I think about a few times. It was in our other Q&A video, which was quite long. I think it was like 30 minutes or something. And there was a German guy commenting that his English is not that good, so he watched it one time to get what we were talking about, like with subtitles, and then he watched it again to see our facial expressions. And I was like, this is the biggest compliment that you can give to us, that you really want to get through 30 minutes of us talking about things.
That you would go through twice.
And enjoy it and do it twice in a different language. And then I texted him and was like, oh, well, this is like the biggest compliment. And he was like, yeah, so I'm learning a bit more English, so maybe I can get back into learning English. And it was like, it was the cutest thing ever. And I love that maybe the people who do train content, I mean, I think most of it is in English, but maybe it inspires some people who don't really use the English language, because I was a bit scared of speaking English too, because in German you always get hated for your accent. Like when you're speaking English like a foreign language in school, and you're like, so this is what you have, like the perfect
Yeah, but you don't
English.
have really an accent.
Thank you very much.
I think
But
I have more of an
everyone hates
accent
it
than you because I just
in
have like a very
German.
specific. Oh well, yeah, definitely. But in English, I'm like a specific Southern Englander, and like you make fun of me saying promenade. On the promenade. I'm the one who you could pick out where I'm from based on me speaking English, whereas you just speak it normally and properly. And I don't think there's an accent that people could like make fun of.
Yeah, but that's usually what the people do. I remember there was one German TikToker, and she was been to Cambridge, and then people hate her for not having like the perfect Cambridge accent. And so I feel like the people have been very welcoming.
Yeah, and
this whole
also to
setup.
me, because a lot of the Pointless Adventures viewers are German and they're accepting me being who I am, even though I'm not one of them. You make me feel very welcome, and it's actually a huge boost reading all of the really nice comments from people like, oh, this makes my Sunday when you upload and all of this stuff.
What did someone write, like my serotonin intro or something? Oh, and you cry. So, and after this long day of shooting, and that we managed to stick to our plans, and it was quite stressful to get back home, and then we got thrown into a whole different world, because there were like 2 football games happening in Kiel and in Hamburg, and then we got onto the train, and it was so stressful, and there were these drunk football fans, and one was peeing on the tracks. It was such a, I don't know, reality check for us, because we've been enjoying this great day, had so much fun and so much appreciation for life, and then we get thrown into this whole other world, like after 10 p.m. in the German S-Bahn in Hamburg.
Literally, yeah. It was such a big contrast between these cute cyclists in the morning at the countryside being like, Moinsen! And then we go back to the city at 10 p.m. and everyone's like smashing bottles and peeing everywhere and like singing football songs. It's like, don't know why the social contract just disappears as soon as the sun goes down. It makes no sense. Like, I was thinking this, we were the same people. We were sat in the train quietly, whether it was the morning or the night. Like, we were acting the same way. It's a transport. But I feel like certain people just see it as, I don't know, their living room once the sun goes down. It's really weird. It's also nice how just with every new upload we have, you know, a few more people in the comments, and then you notice them commenting again next time, and we're really growing this like really nice community, and we're growing like as filmmakers at the same time, and as friends and collaborators, and everything is just like coming together really nicely with an audience who are like understanding what we're doing, and we have like this boundless energy to want to do more of it and make more episodes. And at the heart of it is this really pure goal, I think, which is different to a lot of YouTube channels, including some videos that I've made, where we're just like, okay, there's this nice public transport service that goes all around a nice country with some nice places in it that you might never have heard of. Let's see what fun we can make there. It's like the purest goal. Nobody can find any room to hate you because you're just doing like a pure thing. And I think people are catching on to that, and with every time we make another video, we're getting better at it and it's getting better received. On our 100th episode, who knows where we'll be.
So thank you for watching and enjoying this video too. We'd love for you to comment if you have any recommendations for the series or any questions that you would like for us to answer. And yeah, so far we've been really happy that we can share this whole journey with you. And yeah, special thanks to everyone who put in their time to watch this video that's gotten longer. I don't know why. I don't know whose fault is that. See you at the next stop, you little Bedarfs besties.
Yes. And shout out to Editing Enya, as always, for taking care of the channel. We hope that you love the rebranded Pointless Adventures channel and are looking forward to all of our nonsense that we're making for you. Thank you so much. Bye.